Who will win, 1,000 boulders or the wall of flesh? I guess that answers that. So one thing I love about these boulder wall projects is that I'm learning a lot of new game mechanics that I don't know if the community has learned a lot about. So in this project, I've learned about the Wall of Flesh's mechanics. And I'm going to spawn the Wall of Flesh now just so we can observe him. So I'm going to pause it right now. Go ahead and take notice. These eyes are unable to shoot you. They won't even try to shoot you. So all you have to do is run backwards and damage the boss. And I'll show you that now. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at this now. And you can see I get double damage with my yo-yo because the boss's parts are so close together, making for a very easy fight. And if you're worried about the cleanup, as you can see here, you use the Extendo Grip perk. Right here, the Extendo Grip accessory. And you can reach all of these blocks and then equip your treasure magnet and grab them. No problem. Here are the necessary supplies for this trap to function like mine does. If you don't want to farm 80,000 stone for 1,000 boulder statues, you can go with less boulder statues, but then you'll need to have longer platforms, and you'll also need to provide more DPS yourself. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to build this. As you can tell, it's a very simple line of platforms that are just designed and placed in a certain way. This is going to be section 1 of the build, which I'm calling the Wall of Flesh Compactor. I had a lot of fun building this. It did take a ton of experimentation, but I went ahead and got this detailed on a static image for you to look at. So the Wall of Flesh Compactor's job is simple. It's to take the eyes and the mouth and to bring them as close together as possible, so that way I can have the boulders collide more easily with all the parts. If I had them all spread out, this build would be a lot bigger and more annoying to use. The length of the build doesn't really matter, but right now this one I have is 393 blocks long that continues in that direction off screen, as well as 31 blocks tall. The total amount of platforms I have, other than the platform I stand on, is 7. So I have 7 platforms here. The spacing is very important. I recommend you take my exact spacing that I have shown here, because I find if you do it any tighter or any wider, the Wall of Flesh won't be as compact, and if you do it tighter, the Wall of Flesh will just kind of ditch this whole build in total. It'll just take its body and leave the compactor. So you can obviously read this for yourself. And here I have my boulder pathways clearly labeled. So farther down the build, when we get to the actual boulder wall part, this is where the boulders are going to be rolling through. So they're going to roll through this platform. This is where there's a hitbox available. They're going to roll right under my feet, where I'll be safely up on my perch, on my little wooden platform perch. That's where another hitbox is. The third pathway is where another hitbox is, and fourth and fifth, so on. That's where all the hitboxes are. I thought that I could make the hitbox here as well, like right above Boulder Pathway 1, but for some reason the top eyeball does not have a hitbox registering here. Okay, and the very last thing that we need to know before we move on to section 2 of the build is background walls. So background walls, for those of you who do not already know, stop enemy spawn rates altogether. So you see this lava slime up here? The background walls are to keep him specifically from spawning inside these walls. When lava slimes die, they drop lava, and that lava can bust out the statues that you're going to have placed later on in the build. So get rid of spawn rates with the background walls. Use the brick laying accessory that you get from the traveling merchant to place background walls much more quickly, and that should take care of that. Alright, this is section 2 of the build, which I'm calling the boulder wall wiring setup build. This is the other part of the total build. So let's go and start off with the basics. Obviously, I'm going to be using 200 boulder statues per row, and because boulder statues are 2 blocks wide per boulder statue, the length of this section is going to be 400 blocks. That makes the total length of this build 793 blocks in total, because I took 400 blocks from section 2 and I added it to the 393 blocks from section 1. And while these pictures are pretty self-explanatory, I think I can do a better job of explaining some of the finer details with an audio explanation. So the reason I have 1,000 boulder statues in total is because you can only have 1,000 boulders, or projectiles for that matter, existing in the game at once. So if I were to have more boulder statues than this, there'd be no point. The excess boulders that exceed 1,000 would simply disappear. All you need to do is follow the instructions that I have here: 9 blocks, 5 blocks, 3 blocks, 5 blocks, and 3 blocks in between all rows. And here's my simple redstone wiring that I went ahead and edited into this photo. It's a simple stretch of wiring across all these boulder statues that connects at the center platform, which will then extend beyond the screen to the right of the screen, where there will be a pressure pad that we'll step on and activate the boulders to kill the boss. And I'll say it again in case you didn't catch it. You must have background walls in this build. For some reason, background walls don't stop the spawns of enemies on the top platforms, but they do stop the spawn of enemies all in these platforms. And our number one nemesis during this build are those lava slimes, because lava slimes on death in expert mode drop lava blocks. And lava blocks, for those of you who don't know, and I didn't know this, will knock out any statue the lava touches. So if I kill a lava slime on this very narrow row, as far as that lava extends outwards from the carcass of the slime, all of those statues will be knocked out, and then I'll have to go and replace them, which is super annoying. So what you don't want to do is activate this trap, and then because you didn't place their blocks, there are slimes already spawned in here, and then the boulders would automatically kill the slimes, causing them to break themselves, basically. Because even though there's a statue occupying this space, mobs can still spawn here. So you can't, you must stop the spawning. Simply put, you have to stop the spawning, and that's the only way to do that is with walls. Okay, so I went ahead and I showed off the boulder pathing with blue arrows. So the top boulders are going to have to drop the farthest. That's not really an issue because it follows the same line path as the one you were creating already. The second row of boulders has to drop off a 1 block high area. The third boulders are straight. The fourth line of boulders has to drop off a 1 block high platform, and the last row of boulders is straight. The reason I have these 1 block high platform drop-offs is that there's enough space for these tighter, more narrow boulder paths. But honestly, if you follow the schematics block for block, you should come up with this exact same design. Well, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you all enjoyed that and found it useful. If you think that my explanations could be simplified or made shorter, please let me know. That's really the only thing I'm concerned about is video length. But to finish this video off, I have a little clip that I'm pretty excited about. Oh my god, I finally got it. An amber mosquito. Oh my gosh. This took... where is it? Oh. This took me so long. I must have gone through at least 15,000 silt. Oh yeah. Alright, there's the clip. I used to do a lot of shiny hunting in Pokemon, and those odds were 1 out of 8,192. So one of the reasons I really wanted this guy was because his odds are 1 out of 10,000. So it was along the same rarity as the shiny Pokemon.